Welcome to A Voice and Beyond. Today I'm joined by two extraordinary guests, Dr. Nicole Sebastian, who is a licensed psychologist, speaker, and published author, and Professor Michael Sebastian, a Vietnam veteran, researcher, and respected educator in the field of mind-body integration. Thank you both for joining me. How are you?
Hello, thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're doing good in these times, all right?
Oh, let's not even go there. I just spent 2 weeks in the US and Canada, and I heard all about it. So I've got, it's fresh off the press from the locals as to how they're feeling and what's going on. And as an Australian, I cannot believe, I just simply cannot believe, because our country has a very different political system, so to speak, but we're not going to go there. We have some exciting things. We have joy to spread. We have good news to spread. So today we're going to have an inspiring and thought-provoking conversation based on your work, which actually highlights the urgency of the mental health crisis that's going on at the moment. And we're going to explore the simplicity, science, and transformation behind your groundbreaking work at One Step Therapy and the powerful technique you call the one magic word. Now, I was thinking about this, the one magic word, and I was thinking, when I'm having a crisis, I know the word that I want to use in that moment. And I don't think it's the word that you're endorsing that we use.
Oh, I love it.
So let's just go back to the beginning.
Okay.
What was the journey that brought the two of you together to do this work? And how has it evolved into what it is today?
Oh, so glad you asked. Well, okay. We've been married now 30 years. Okay, We're going to give you the
congratulations. That is a milestone these days.
It is, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, so, and the one magic word has helped, but we'll get to that.
It's not my magic word. It's
a combo of the two.
Okay.
So Michael was my sociology instructor at the university. And on the very first day, the students, including myself, were in class waiting for the instructor. And in walks Michael. And literally, the moment he entered, my inner voice started screaming, "He is the one. You are going to marry him." Now, keep in mind, at this point, I'm 24. He's twice my age.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything, it should have been like wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That voice. And he looked so cute. He had on his little Levi jeans and his hiking boots and his flannel shirt.
Yes.
He was, bouncing the ball in the air like this while he was waiting for everyone to be quiet, right? So he could begin. And the voice, and I ran home to my roommate after class and I said, "Heather, I'm going to marry this guy. I would marry him in a heartbeat." She thought I was nuts.
Yes.
And so I remained quiet and I did not ask him out. But the next semester, I saw Michael in the hallway and I yelled, "Hey, Mr. Sebastian." And I ran and then I got there and I said, "Let's do lunch." So you can take over.
And I thought, it's fairly standard. Class is over. I figured she wanted a reference for graduate school. I get a lot of that. So we went to lunch and we're at a deli in Austin, Texas. And I said, "So, how can I be of service? What can I do for you?" And she said, "Well, I thought we might date." I said, "Excuse me?" I said, "Date? What does that look like?" So, we ended up, I thought, well, sure. Because she said, "Let's just give it a shot, see how it rolls."
Yeah.
And we ended up going down that road. But rewind, I'm teaching at the college in Austin, Texas, sociology. And approximately 3 years prior to meeting Nicole, I had a really, really clear graphic dream. And in the dream, there was a girl named Nicole who had brown eyes and blonde hair, looked exactly like that Nicole.
Oh my
And
gosh.
we were in chemistry class together in the dream. We were in a chemistry class, which was saying when I woke up, it was very clear. I journaled the whole dream, luckily, because, a week or two, a month down the way, I'd forgotten the dream completely. Fast forward 3 years, who actually walks into my class and sits in the front row, none other than the dream girl, Nicole. And from there, I did not remember the dream. It had been way too long, but I had snapshots called deja vu, already having
Yes.
seen French.
Yes.
What they are, deja vus, is we've had a dream and we've forgotten it, and that we go, wow, have I been here? Have I experienced this before? I started realizing, I went back and I found the dream journal, actually found it. We were in, where were we? In Phoenix at the time, living in Phoenix. We'd moved, and they sent a camera crew, CBS or NBC, one of those sent a camera crew over and did the whole story with the journal itself.
Really?
Like how, yeah. And it was, the important thing was it opened my eyes. It was like, oh my God, the dream was giving me a snapshot of my future, literally, that I was going to meet Nicole when we were going to end up getting married. And the dream was showing me 3 years ahead of time how my life was going to take a right-hand turn, go 180 degrees down another road. So I realized at that point how important dreams were, to pay attention to my dreams, that they are giving me messages and showing me inner guidance that's going to show me where I'm headed in life.
Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. Do you feel that we all have that ability to have those deja vu moments? Oh, or do we have to be open and receptive? Do we have to be tuned into our intuition in order for us to have that awareness?
No, it's 24/7 and it's ongoing for every human. We're built that way. Everyone dreams every night, even if we don't remember.
I do.
Most people have witnessed a coincidence, which is also known as a synchronicity or a sign. And everyone's had a gut feeling at least once. But these things are on autopilot 24/7. Most people are unaware of the data, or they don't remember the data.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. Because quite often I will have a vivid dream, wake up and remember it momentarily, but as the day goes on, I forget all about it. And when I want to recap the dream, it's gone.
I've had that exact thing happen to me, more often than not, because we track our data and we journal our dreams. And it's so interesting to note. In the morning, I'll write it down and then I'll go about my day. We don't have time to get into the decoding in that moment. And then later at night, we call it dream time, and Michael and I will sit and then we'll work the dreams. But I've actually pulled the journal a few hours later, and I said, I didn't have anything. I didn't remember anything. What do you got? And I've opened the journal, and there was like 3 pages of dreams that I didn't remember from that morning, and I wrote them down. How crazy is that?
Amazing. That's incredible. Now, we're going to move on because we had a little sidetrack there. I was interested about this dream. What inspired you both to develop the one-step therapy and the one magic word technique? And I am going to ask you what that magic word is in a moment, but what's the inspiration behind your work?
Early on, when we were together, we were driving, and I said, these tools are so powerful that I felt they needed to be shared with the world. And so we were driving in the Mustang in Austin, Texas. And I looked at Michael and I said, we're going to call it Trust Yourself. And we're going to uplift humanity. And he thought I was nuts.
I said, to hell with humanity. Who cares about humanity? I mean, let's just have a nice life here, all right? They can take care of themselves.
But, the compelling thing was, throughout my career, throughout my life, myself included, I've seen people, get burned, get blindsided, make the wrong choice, go on a date and get ghosted, or go on a date and get scammed. I mean, these things are ongoing. And we've noted that it's actually a public crisis occurring. The mental health crisis combined with the knowing crisis, or the blindsided crisis, we call it. And it was these events, these stories that we've seen and run into, that we have been compelled. I feel like that is why we were born, to spread this message, to reinvent the tools and the techniques so people can use these, because they're free and they're on autopilot. And we have methodologies and systems we've built, so it's real easy. And so really that's where it came from. Yeah.
And I was blindsided as well, like blindsided by a divorce that I didn't see coming, blindsided by more than that, career, finances. But I always asked myself, how can I sidestep these things? And I should have seen some of it coming. Why didn't I know? And then I noticed in conversations with all my friends, with all the acquaintances, they always ask, God, Mike, how do you know? Like, I want to invest in the stock, but how do I really know? The experts say A, B, and C, but they just got blindsided. Like, how do I really know? Is there a way to know? And that's when Nicole and I put together the mission to come up with the tools. And the tools are dream, signs, and intuition. And it's our original operating system. It runs 24/7, but it's kind of like you mentioned earlier, is it automatic? Are we paying attention? And the answer is most people are not paying attention. If they paid attention, they would get the message through a dream, a sign, or an intuition. Then they could sidestep getting blindsided and adversity. And that is why we started the mission, to bring the tools, that original operating system that we all have. And we call it Trust Yourself system. Look within, not without. But how do you turn it on? How do you pay attention? How do you get people so they become aware? And that's where we came up with one magic word to turn it on.
Ta-da! That was my jazz hands for people that can't see me. I just did jazz hands. Okay. Are you going to share the one magic word with us, or do we have to buy your system to find that out? And then we get the steak knives that go along with it. Okay.
Oh, heavens. The word, here we go. Drum roll. The word is hue. H-U, hue.
H-U. Hue.
Yes.
Hue.
I'll give you a demo. Quick demo, and then there's a history to it. There's science behind it. Oh, it's fascinating. Let me start with the demo. All you do is inhale and hue. Beautiful. Yes. Just say hue. The coolest thing is anyone can do it out loud or silent, eyes open or closed. So it's just so user-friendly and convenient. It's the way to meditate without meditating. And that's one magic word. Just say hue.
Okay, I'm going to do it again. I want to see if am I meant to feel different? What am I meant to feel?
You're going to feel the vibration within your solar plexus, right there in the solar plexus.
Okay.
And you'll feel more when you stop hewing. Even after a few seconds, you'll feel more in the flow and the harmony if you just allow it to come in.
Okay, I'm going to try it again. I noticed both of you closed your eyes when I was doing it. Why was that? You both did.
Yeah, I could feel the vibration of harmony. When you were hewing, I went right into that vibration. And it's easier to go into vibration for me when I close my eyes, because it shuts out all the noise and the light outside.
Yes, I get that. Okay, so why hue?
Okay.
Yes, tell us about this magic word. How has it come to be?
It starts with the word human. The word human in the Oxford English Dictionary actually means God-man, human, God within man, meaning we all have that spark within, that vibratory signature, because it's at a quantum level, really, physics. the vibration from the
Mm-hmm.
word Hu, and it being an ancient sacred name for God,
Mm-hmm.
we have found in 13 different religions and their sacred path with their text as well, from the Quran to the Bible, even the Freemasons, it's their secret word. So we found remnants. And then in Egypt, oh, this is so cool. 5,000 years ago, they used to hew at the Sphinx from dusk until dawn as a society to uplift. Yes, who would have thought?
And the Sphinx itself, if you go back and actually start researching it about the Sphinx, it used to be named Hu, Hu, before the Greeks came in and conquered the Egypt area and changed the name. They didn't know what it was. So that, they changed it to Sphinx, which means unknown. But it originally was known as Hu. And Hu is the reason it's so powerful and works instantly. It's the word that created everything. If you open to, in one book, sacred book, the Bible, John 1:1, it says, in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. That word that created everything is a vibration, a quantum vibration that went out, is Hu. It always, we have a million stories. We use it with our clients who are depressed, anxiety, fear, suicidal ideation. Just a short, funny story. We were living in LA for many years, and we were doing different stuff with the media, but I was also teaching down at a college, and I was a counselor. And one of the LA Lakers superstar back a few years, superstar, and he wanted to come back to get his MBA at night, but they kept him off the rolls because of his status. Nobody even knew he was there. And I was his counselor. They said, Mike, would you be his counselor? I said, okay, I'll do that. So I went to meet with him one-on-one. And I said, so, why aren't you going to get your MBA? What's your problem for not doing it? What are you worried about? What's your greatest fear? He said, Mike, I got endorsements. I play full time. I have a family. He said, I could go on and on. He said, I am freaked out that I'm even here. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. And I said, let me share something with you. So I said, whenever you're feeling that fear and anxiety, just you. And when I finished, he looked at me, he said, Mike, I've got world-class problems and you've got me humming. Are you kidding me? What the hell? And, I said, hey, bro, don't knock it till you try it. He's a professional sports dude. And he went, okay, fair enough. I understand. A month goes by. He leaves. In a month, I go back to see how he's doing in his classes. And when I walked into the room to tease him before he could say anything, I said, have you been hewing? He said, have I been hewing? My whole family is hewing, Mike. And the coach of the Lakers has started hewing because the coach said to me, your game's up a notch. What the hell are you doing? He said, I'm hewing, and it keeps me focused on the ball and the game. And the coach said, I'm going to hew then too. It always works. Even if you're skeptic, doesn't matter.
Wow. With both of you. So, Professor Michael, I understand your own healing from PTSD after Vietnam played a key role in your journey in this work.
Right.
Can you take us back to your experience and how the magic word changed everything for you, where you were at the time of suffering PTSD and where you're at now?
Yeah, at the time, go way back, and I did a tour in Vietnam and was in the infantry. So I saw combat, was out in the field, a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear there because of getting killed. And most of the soldiers came back, but if you're in the infantry, it's a lot worse. I came back, I had severe anxiety and severe nightmares every night, and suicidal ideation. Every day I thought about putting a round through my head, kept a bunch of guns. It was like I was on the ragged edge, and I was thinking about going down to the VA and getting some treatment, but I was even paranoid about the VA. However, before I got a chance to go there, I actually stumbled across accidentally the Hu, and I thought, got nothing to lose here. So I started hewing on a daily basis, like 20 to 30 minutes daily hewing. And within a very short period of time, all of the anxiety, the fear, the depression, the suicidal ideation, the night terrors, they all disappeared. And that vibration literally, erased those symptoms, literally erased them. So I could breathe again. And, the proof's in the pudding. I went, oh my God, I've found one magic word. I mean, I know this works. It couldn't be. I should have probably been dead. And instead, I'm feeling really good. And that was because of the hue.
That's incredible. That's incredible work. And Dr. Nicole, as a clinical psychologist, your work is embedded in medicine and it is science informed. What did you initially think when you saw the impact of this one word technique? Were you shocked and surprised, or were you open to other modalities as forms of treatment?
Well, I had been using the hue in my own life, and I knew that there's so many benefits from it, in addition to the mental health aspect we've been discussing, but just the serenity, the higher awareness, decision making, tapping in to your higher self, things like this. So then I started sharing it with the clients. And this is decades ago, because I work in the field of addiction as an addictionologist. And along with that diagnosis, most people are dual diagnosed with anxiety and depression and addiction, etc. So I said, just try the hue, add the hue if you want, in our sessions and things. I'd give them the demo, give them a little, talk about it, the history and science and whatnot. And I'd say, you want to try it? Go, please. And so then they'd come back from the next week. Oh my God, I want to bring my methadone dose down that I've been at for 8 years straight. Oh my God, I'm not even smoking as much. And then I'd say, have you been huing? And they're like, yes. They didn't even make the connection themselves that the hue, boom, boom, boom. But here I'm listening and watching all these people, and I'm collecting this data as these years roll on. And I'm like, whoa. It's just, when we use the word magic, it kind of sounds silly. And the hue, it sounds too simple. That's what I've run into. Silly and simple. And then that's why, we're just like, try it. And then people are like, whoa. And I just got to say, like, real quick, when we were built as humans, constructed and put on this planet, this is before there were counselors and medications and priests and this, that, and the other. It's like it was just us. And if you were going to construct this species, this wonderful species, you would have everything be within, truly, if you were going to build the perfect species, that
Yes.
you wouldn't have to be outside.
Yes.
And so all these tools, that's how they're on the autopilot, as we've talked about. And the hue is the sound, that resonates deeply within. As a matter of fact, if a person can truly, shut everything out, you can actually hear the low hue humming within. It's also known as the sound of soul. So it's pretty cool, that everything is free, right? And it's kind of within. And then when you experiment and you track your data,
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And at present, I know that especially since COVID, we are in the midst of a really terrible public mental health crisis. And I see it in the students that I work with. I've never seen so many cases of anxiety within even that younger age group than ever before. And I believe that there's over 42 million adults affected by anxiety alone at the moment. Why do you believe this is the case? And what do you believe is causing this spike in mental health issues at present?
It's pretty simple, and it's
here,
right
here.
It's right in. Yeah, there you go.
The telephone. So if people aren't watching YouTube, Dr. Nicole just held up her phone.
Yeah.
And I have to agree, to be fair.
But at a molecular level, it's the electromagnetic field that emanates from our phones, from our computers, from our televisions, that really impacts our central nervous system. at that quantum level, the cells, central nervous system, the cells, the atoms, and the subatomic particles that we are constructed of. It should be a fine-tuned machine that's running harmoniously, but instead that frenetic energy. And as times get harder, and as technology gets stronger, we are a sitting duck, literally being pounded with this new vibe that's going on at extreme levels. And you have to protect yourself in order to really function at a high level just in daily life. But truly, it's the vibrations from
the noise. There's so much noise, and in order to be balanced, to get rid of anxiety, you have to be silent for a minute or two every day. You have to be able to take a breath. Breathing is a big part of it. People don't even realize that. The SEALs, and we used it in Vietnam. People are shooting at you. It can be pretty anxiety driven. I mean,
Of course.
fear is overwhelming until you kind of get used to it. And believe it or not, I'll say this, as you're in different firefights over time, it gets addictive. You can't wait till the next one. You feel like you just want to shoot somebody. Where's the bad guys? Bring them on. Anyway, it's the same way with surgeons. They get addictive. People don't know that surgery is addictive if you do something long enough, be it positive or negative. People don't have any time alone, none. It's all noise, and it's very shattering. The vibration, like Nick says, it's a shattering, disconnected vibration that feels like anxiety. It's like, oh my God, and everyone has it now. So why our mission, that's why we're bringing the hue to everyone as quick as we possibly can, because it literally neutralizes that vibration. If you breathe and hue, suddenly you go, whoa, I feel really great. And we have to do it every day just to neutralize that noise and vibration that's very negative.
I'm kind of surprised that you went down that track, because when you held up your phone, I actually thought that you were going to say we are addicted to our phones, that people are scrolling on social media constantly, and that is people are consuming it to a point that they're addicted. I didn't think that you were going to talk about the vibrations that were coming from the phone. That threw me, to be honest, because I hadn't considered that. I just thought we're all holding a phone these days. Even at the dinner table, people are sitting there on their phones. No one's communicating. But I never thought about those electromagnetic fields that are disrupting our vibration. Makes total sense. And I like what you said, Professor Mike, about the time that we don't spend alone anymore. Now, interestingly enough, I've just spent 2 weeks with people 24/7, or pretty much 24/7. And I've been home now for about 4 days. And yesterday, I didn't leave the house. I just wanted to be on my own. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to be with anybody. And I feel that I actually recharge my energy bank when I'm by myself. I find that I have a threshold around people, and it's usually around an hour and a half. Like, I can time it. After an hour and a half at coffee or lunch with someone, I feel that I need to go and I need to be by myself. But I know for many people, they can't be on their own, or they have to be on their phones. It's such a shift in society, isn't it?
It is. But I'm really glad you mentioned the addictive factor, because as an addictionologist, it's huge. We were just working with a client, and that was his homework, was to reduce his scrolling electronic time by 4. He does about 16, 18 hours a day, and
Of
he's reduced
scrolling.
it, and watching YouTube videos and electronic.
Does he
yes.
work?
No.
He needs a job.
And so that was the homework. There's a whole plan around it, built around the homework, but the homework is reduce 4 hours a day. Boom. Yes. And he's already having breakthroughs, and it's only been 1 week. It's only been the middle of 1 week of already reducing the screen time by 4 hours a day, and shifts are coming. And Michael used to do this fabulous experiment in school with the students, electronic deprivation. If you did this, you didn't have to write a research paper. You would just give up electronics for 1 week, and
you'd get an A automatically. And it was interesting. I started it as a bet at a larger university in Missouri, and I was going around. I said, "Okay, tell me how many hours you watch TV or you're doing your electronics." And I was putting it up before saying anything, and everybody was real honest. And the hours were real high. And I said, "Jesus Christ, y'all are pretty addicted to your phones and your electronics and your computers and your TVs." And suddenly they went, "No, not really." Well, I exaggerated. I said, 8 or 10 hours, but it's probably 4 or 5. And I could tell they were all lying. They were trying to make it so, you know how it is. And I called them out. I said, "You guys are addicted. You couldn't step off of that if you had to." And then it got like, "Well, yeah, we could." And I said, "I'll make you a bet. You turn that stuff off for 7 days and I'll give you an A. You don't have to do jack. You just write it up in a paragraph, 1 paragraph, what you did." And they loved it. They said, "We'll take that bet." And I said, "I don't have to worry about giving you an A because you're not going to be able to get away from it. You're addicted." And it was fun. And then the results came in and it floored me. It was like, oh my God. I started talking to my spouse for the first time in weeks. I called my parents. I never do. I went out for a walk. I started playing tennis again. I feel much healthier. It was like I sleep at night. And it was like, it was a breakthrough for me. And reading all that, I went, oh my God, there's the problem. So that's some background for what we do now.
Yeah, it's really twofold with what you mentioned on the addiction and then the vibrations, but they feed into each other. So again, we're sitting ducks that way. Anyhow, back to
yes.
you.
So you have both created a non-for-profit that's dedicated to addressing the mental health epidemic directly. So why was it important for you to do that? Was it because you wanted it to be financially accessible, or is there because there's a stigma attached to seeking help? What was your reasoning?
To really make a statement of this is such a public crisis at such a level, an extreme level, and typically, a nonprofit makes that statement, like this is such a problem that we're here to solve with tools and techniques. We don't care if you pay for it, you don't, you want to donate, you want a free session. Like, it's that vital and serious and detrimental. This is like an imperative thing. And so that's why we felt the need. Maybe you want to add something, but that's why we felt the need to go nonprofit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. And how does this approach empower individuals to start healing without a prescription, without a therapist, or without a diagnosis?
They've already got a problem and they're looking for a solution. And that's why, we've set it up so they have access. They can go in and get the hue. And as soon as they click on the hue and they get the hue and they begin trying it, suddenly it opens their awareness, their consciousness to the fact that, oh my God, this thing actually works. And now my life feels better. I at least have a tool for addressing this. And that door really opens them also to paying attention to some of the tools that we provide in the Divine Guidance Institute nonprofit. Dreams, signs, what a sign is. They can take a small course on dreams and signs and intuition, and then they start really opening up to themselves, their true self within, and they step into being a new person. And that's our mission. That's what we do. That's the payoff.
Yes. And you said earlier that you traced the word all the way back to ancient Egypt 5,000 years ago. So what does that history teach us about human healing across cultures? And what does it say about Western medicine also, and the way that we go about healing in our society?
Mostly, here's the problem in Western civilization, less so in Eastern India, wherever. But in Western civilization, everyone is looking outward to someone else, the expert, the white coat. I call them white coats, doctors.
Yes. Yes.
And we're both doctors. So
and we're both doctors.
Yes.
Included.
And you know,
sorry, but I just don't do mouth to mouth. I'm not that kind of doctor.
and you know, they're looking to the wrong person because the doctors really don't know, and that is the truth. All you ever hear from doctors, without dissing the medical field, when you go, well, we need to run some tests, and then, well, what did they? Well, we're not sure yet. Some more tests, and so many. 800,000 people are misdiagnosed every year, and it's like, oh my God.
Hold on, let's finish the sentence.
Yeah.
That leads to serious injury or death.
Yep. Yeah.
So, yeah, we didn't even get into the stats of the Divine Guidance Institute and the crisis. Yeah, the 800,000 misdiagnosed, leading to serious injury or death. This was just in the first 6 months of 2024 in the USA. And then,
just the US.
Yes.
Not even globally.
No.
Wow.
400,000, a separate stat, 400,000 women, USA alone, first 6 months of 2024, were misdiagnosed with breast cancer. So that the error rate is really high. And when you use your other tools, let me give you a quick story. We had a client she came to the dream workshop, the Trust Yourself Dream Workshop, and she had failing health for years, but she had a recurring dream. She did every blood test and medical test and every doctor, and no one could figure this out. But this dream, recurring, the letters PB, like peanut butter. Well, Michael happens to know that that's the element letters, the symbol for lead. Her dream was showing her she had lead toxicity. So we did the dream in the workshop. Then she took that data, went to see the doc and said, hey, let's test me for lead. And it came back, the results conclusive.
Positive.
Lead toxicity. She fixed that. And voila.
And she was dying, literally. This has gone on for years. She was literally dying. And she didn't have long left. And none of the docs could help her because they didn't have a clue. Yeah. And the dream showed her. And as soon as, boom, turned it right around.
So, so that's why it's such a crisis, if we start getting into that data and things. But back to your original question about, back then, 5,000 years ago, I think they had more truth within. They knew like, these are the healthier ways. It's how we were born, innate. They had access to that data and they utilized it. And there wasn't any thoughts of like woo-woo and silliness. And they were more in tune. And so that's kind of like why we're here with all of our research to say, hey, everybody, like try this. And then, at some point it'll be a known thing. Like everyone will say, I got a headache. Well, would you just hew? Oh, I got some anxiety. Mm-hmm. Just say hew. Like that is the goal, is that it's that known that it's common parlance in our society.
Yeah. And you have collected 25 years of field data, and now you use EEG and vibroacoustic therapy. What has modern science shown us about the neurological effects of this technique? Are there changes in the cell structures in the brain? Like, what are you actually seeing? Physical change in the brain?
Okay.
Through the technique?
Yes, with the EEG results, we've taken ourselves and clients, and done the brain waves pre-hew, before hewing, and then during hewing, and then after. And really, typically, we function with the alpha and the beta, but what happens when we start hewing, all the 5 levels, we have access to all 5, and they start activating simultaneously. It's not just like going from beta or alpha to theta. No. Every level gets heightened and activates. It's mind-blowing. And then we tested it also with an oximeter. Test the oxygen levels. Client on oxygen, him and his wife were out. He forgot his oxygen at home, but they knew about the hue, obviously. And so this is one of the quotes. She told us the story. She's like, we were out and he tested his oxygen and it was at an 82. And and she said, honey, try the hue. And so he starts hewing and it brought it up to a 91, like in 1 minute.
Wow.
Yes. And that's just to get started with the data. So it's real. And we even have aura photography, electromagnetic field photos showing the difference before and after. And then just the results from experiences as well. I'm not smoking as much. I quit smoking. The anxiety's gone. I was stuck on a bridge without my Xanax, and the hue got me home off that bridge. Like this, so yeah.
And the other thing with this technique, you say that people don't have to stop their bad habits. You just suggest that they add hue into their day. So why does adding the word rather than eliminating the bad habit work better?
Really, just to summarize it real quickly, the reason it works regardless of changing the bad habit is it changes at a quantum level, at a vibrational level. The only thing in the universe is light and sound. That's pure quantum physics. That's not up for speculation. It's been proven. And when we hue, we literally shift the vibration. So consequently, it shifts our behavior also. That's why we tell our clients, okay, you're already on Xanax and you're already, who knows, maybe you're doing coke, crack. Don't worry about that. Just add the hue. And after a week or two, they come back and go, oh my God, I'm way down on my habit. It changes their vibrational attunement inwardly. And by doing so, even with the bad habit, it starts reducing that behavior at a vibrational level. It works. I ran into a guy in Mexico. I was down there and I was sitting at a table. There wasn't anywhere else to sit. He said, do you mind if I sit down? We started talking. Older guy. And he said, we were talking about drugs and addiction. He said, Mike, I was on heroin for 20 years and I've done A, B, C. He said, I've done it all. And he said, today I'm not on anything, but he picked up a cigarette. He said, I still smoke. After all those drugs and 40 years later, he said, I got it down. I was doing 2 packs a day, but I'm doing 10 a day still. He said, I've never been able to kick that. And it's a lot harder than heroin. And I gave him the hue. I said, give this a shot. Just give it a try. What do you got to lose? It's been how many years? I ran into him a week later. He said, I'm down from 10 to 5 cigarettes. And he said, that's a miracle. That's never happened before. And
incredible.
It always works because it changes the vibration without changing.
Yes. I need to give this to my husband because he is vibrating at a low level right now. And he is attracting all this bad karma. And when he walks in the house, the energy level in the house just goes whoosh. Yeah. And I'm going to get him to hue. I'm going to hue with him. Well, maybe I'll hue on my own and build my own energy bank up and get him to hue on his way to work and everything else that he's doing.
Yes. Because the cool thing, you can tell him, you can say, honey, out loud or silent, eyes open or closed. So it doesn't have to, you can do it while you're in the shower, while you're watching TV or in a business meeting. And no one will even know, so.
I might do it in the shower because I now put the shower on cold for the last minute of the shower. So I may see what happens if I have the cold and the hue.
Ooh,
Give it
nice.
Give myself a double whammy.
Yeah. And let us know,
Yes,
call us.
I will.
Absolutely.
I will. Yeah.
Please.
So for someone who's listening today, who's feeling extremely anxious or perhaps overwhelmed or they may be suffering with depression and they feel that they've tried everything and nothing's worked, what would you suggest that what is the first step that they can take right now?
Start hewing. Even 1 to 5 minutes a day. Just add that slowly, and the protocol is up to 20 minutes a day, never more than 20. It's not necessary. And they can do, 5 minute 4 times a day, or they can just do it here and there, like we call it in a pinch, hewing in a pinch. You have a moment, so you're going to hew in that moment. Or you can add it to your daily regime, which is obviously the best, whether it's in the morning, or like we said, in the shower, on the way to work, to where you get in those 5 minutes or 10 or up to 20 to start the day. It sets the tone. It serves as protection and insulation, like you had just mentioned. And so hew, just say hew. And again, it sounds silly and simple, but once someone tries it, they feel it. So there's just no denying it,
And I'd say also remember, simply enough, just remember to take a couple deep breaths. Whenever you think of it, just take a couple of deep breaths. Like I said, the SEALs use it in combat. And no matter how fearful or anxiety ridden or how bad things are, you go, ooh, I feel better. Because when we breathe, the breath literally shuts the mind down. It turns it off. All that matter, because I hear that all the time. Mike, I would, but I can't even shut the mind. I'm going crazy. Breathe and you go, oh, it sounds quiet now. It shuts the mind down automatically.
So what's your ultimate hope for the future of mental health care with the one magic word? What's your mission here?
That it's actually a recognized modality, just like EMDR, CBT, just say hew, one-step therapy. Yes, that's where we're headed with our research. A recognized modality.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And how can listeners support your non-for-profit mission and help others access this powerful tool?
Well, donations are certainly lovely and welcome. And, we have, they can donate, through PayPal or through our website. We've got a fundraiser account, GoFundMe, we're all over the place. Divine Guidance Institute and nonprofit, as we've mentioned. And so donations, certainly, because then we can continue with our free books. I mean, we do it anyway, the whole thing. It was so important to us, we have funded this entire nonprofit up until present day. Yes, because it's the mission for real. So yeah, donations are great. And sharing the tools, using them, tracking the data, experimenting with your own life, and then telling your loved ones, like, hey, try the hew. That's simple.
Yeah. I know that as academics, you must have had people be critical of your work and perhaps called it woo-woo. And there are a lot of people listening to the show who are perhaps in a situation where they're fearful of embarking on a new venture, taking that next step toward realizing their goals and their dreams, but they're afraid of what people are going to say about them. So have you ever cared about what other people have thought about you and the work that you're doing?
Yes, I don't think we wouldn't be human if we didn't. However, the overriding drive was, Nicole, that's why you're on the planet. So get your ego out of the way. This is your job, girlfriend. This is your job. And we have fought the good fight. We even have documented VHE entertainment footage. We were working with one of their celebrities, and she had to get ready for the Chelsea Lately show on E! Entertainment.
I remember that show.
Yes. We were working with one of the girls on Flavor Flav, New York. She got her own show. I love New York. They had us in, this is when we lived in Hollywood Hills for some years, and we were her celebrity life coaches. But this is before life coaches, the term even existed. They coined us the Dream Team Celebrity Life Coaches 18 years ago. Okay. She went on, so we gave her the hue and all this, and we've got the clip. She goes on to Chelsea Lately, and Chelsea Handler is her name. She goes on and she starts huing on the show. Hue, and Chelsea says, "What are you doing?" And she says, "Well, I work with these this married couple celebrity life coaches, and they taught me to hue." And she goes, "Chelsea, hue with me." And Chelsea says, "I am not closing my eyes." And then they joke and the banter. And then she goes, "Life coach? What is a life coach?" So we have literally fought the good fight before the coaching. Life coaching was a term, before the meditation was huge. I mean, 18 years ago, we have been, literally they pulled the plug on one of the shock jock radio shows. We were on live air, pulled the plug, and then called back pleading for us to go on because he tried one of our tools that same day and he had a breakthrough. And the producer begged us to come back on so he could apologize. Yes.
Wow.
We have all this film, all this footage. But so yes, we have fought the battles, and now everything's cool. Like there's a million life coaches and people are meditating and they're ready now and receptive.
Yeah, they're open now.
Yes. So you kind of have been pioneers across many fields that are really popular right now. Yeah. So we are winding up, and there's just a couple of last questions here. Have you ever felt silenced or unheard as you've tried to share your work and vision with others?
You mean felt that we couldn't get it out there because there's like a muffler on?
Shut down, or people have tried to silence you for because of their own fear or their own biases about what you're wanting to present to them?
Right.
Here, let's laugh. My mother. My mother, she's like, "Please don't go on there on that show." And this is not now, this is in the past, but please don't go on that show and do that hue thing. Please don't. Yeah, those are her words. My mother tried to silence me. How about that? But
well, no. It usually is a family member.
Oh, it's too funny. And but no, has anyone really tried to silence? No, but like Michael was about to say, we've run up against, the criticism, the laughter, the pulling the plug on live air. So in that respect, yes. But other than that, no, it's, and like I said, it's our mission. So, we're not going down without a fight anyway. So it's all good.
Yes. So what piece of advice would you like to share with someone who therefore is feeling stuck in their lives, or they're feeling unheard and they're wanting to embark on their mission in life, but they are feeling perhaps afraid or silenced?
Michael?
The same advice I gave to that LA Laker who was really skeptical, didn't know what to do, and he needed something. And give it a try. One magic word, 2 letters. You just do it for a minute or two and see what you feel. You're going to feel it. I guarantee it. You're going to feel it. And it feels very, very different. It's a flow. And once you've tried it, you'll go, "Oh my God, I'm going to give that a shot."
I'd also like to comment, if I may, if anyone is feeling silenced or afraid of doing your thing, certainly hue, that goes without saying. But if it's in you because it's meant to come out of you. It wouldn't even be in your consciousness. Like you could do a poll with 100 people. Do you want to write a book? Do you want to write it? 99 would say no. And the one person, yes, it's in you because it's meant to come out of you. And that is so important. It wouldn't even be there if it wasn't meant.
I do agree with that, because my life has taken so many different twists and turns that I would never, ever have imagined. And I've just gone with the flow. That's what I call it. I'm just going along for the ride.
Wow.
And just seeing where it all takes me. Yes. Well, Professor Mike and Dr. Nick, thank you so much for being on my show. You've been a joy. We've had a laugh or two along the way, but I love what you're doing. And I am going to definitely embark on this hue. I'm going to change my magic word from an FU to a HU.
I love it. We're going to quote you on that. That's
right.
great. It's beautiful.
I want to see my name. Yeah. You know,
good.
in academic terms, I would like to be cited.
Yes, we are going to cite you. You bet. That's beautiful.
Yeah, FU to HU. Well, thank you so much. I wish you all the very best. We are going to share the links to your work, to your institute, to your books, to where people can donate to your non-for-profit. And thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to meeting up with you again in the future somewhere.
Yes.
Thanks, Marissa. Thanks for having us on.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. It's
been
Take
fun.
care. Okay.
Wonderful.
Bye.
Bye-bye.